Do you mind if I don't want to record you eating. I don't want to.
Oh, I'm sure he didn't. Hell, the grandson wouldn't know from, well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know, Ruth.
No.
The one thing I do remember is that when we'd be close together and we'd whisper something, that the sound would pick it up. And the wind was always picking it up.
Yeah, sound is a whole nother phenomenon with these things. Whole nother level of what you have
got
to.
it running now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought if we wanted to talk about something this morning, we might talk about the list of books, and I can show you some of the books that I've tried to list. But what was your question?
And also let me see what it looks like. Talk to me like you're talking to me there.
I will.
Because I want to see how this looks like in the camera. If it looks like I should be. Oh no, you don't. I think. Because do you think it would be better if you're talking to me here with the camera, so you're kind of looking at the camera, or if you're talking to the side?
I think it looks better on the film. Those are tapes that play on TV, right?
Yeah, it looks better maybe if you're looking at me.
Yeah, I think so.
And looking at the camera.
Yeah.
So it would be good if I'm talking. Maybe I should sit over here.
Sit where the globe is. Push the globe.
Yeah, that's not. I'll move this chair.
Yeah. Push the globe around the world.
We'll put this globe next to you. You look like a world traveler.
Yeah. Right.
Let's see how that looks.
Does that look better?
Mm-hmm. Make sure that it's.
The thing I like about these is these are highly experimental. If you don't like them, you can throw them away.
It's all experimental. That's the whole point of this procedure is that it's. And I'm going to learn how to do some of this stuff too, but in the end too, it'll just be. All right. What is the date today? It's
I don't know. Put up my watch.
It's January 9.
9.
January 9th. Interview number 1.
Yeah. X interview number X1 experimental.
Experimental 1. X1.
Yeah. Okay. Now.
There's a move behind this.
I forget exactly how you phrased the question that you wanted me to pursue with respect to what books.
Well, the question was, what are your 10 favorite books?
Favorite books. Okay.
10 favorite and most influential books in your life.
I'm not sure they always are the same, the favorite and most influential. But anyway, I've made a list, and then I could discuss those if you want.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and they're in no sequence. These are not the sequence because
It's a
sometimes
10. It's a group of 10, not a number.
Yeah, in fact, there's more than 10, but because I would say, oh, I forgot this, and I'd plug it in at the top, and then say, okay, but so I'll just go down the list and tell you what it is. This is At Play in the Fields of the Lord, and At Play in the Fields of the Gods, maybe. See, I don't even remember the right name, but it's Mathiasen, Peter Mathiasen, and this is a fiction book in which he is a story of a couple of missionaries, of a man and his wife. They're missionaries. They join another group in Central America, and they're going to have a serious conflict with several people, including the native Indians. But the whole thing really comes together into one of the best novels that I have read. If I had to list the top novels, I guess I'd list that amongst those.
Peter Mathiasen is a beautiful writer.
Yeah.
He's written a lot of books.
Yeah.
So what, it's in the field of the gods.
Yeah. At Play in the
Play in the field of the gods.
I can go get the book. Okay. It's going to be kind of empty when I
You do that, and I'm going to work on the shot. I'm going to keep getting it.
Okay, at the top of my list is a fiction book. It's called At Play in the Field of the Lord. One Lord. And it's by Peter Mathiasen. And it's kind of interesting. A fellow sold me this book as a used book. In fact, he didn't even have it priced for me. He just gave it to me. He says, take this. This is a great book. Well, it turned out to be. And So that's one of them that I would list as one of the best fiction books. Now, let's see what else I wrote on this thing. The Snow Leopard. Now, you know that book, and it's not exactly fiction. It's kind of a religious book of Matthiassen's trip with, can't remember the name of the fellow who we went with. The other one was a biologist, and they were both going into the Himalayas to see if they could find the snow leopard. And this other one is a famous naturalist. He's affiliated with the national parks, not national parks. Anyway, New York Zoo.
Why is that? Can you tell me why that one's on your list?
The snow leopard. Yeah, because when it first came out, it had kind of a cult following, and that would not attract me. But it's on my list because I think it lets you get a feeling of a deeper feeling for the whole process of Zen and what the Zen philosophy does for people, and the problem of acquiring that philosophy, because it's not all that easy, and yet this man, Peter Mathiassen, famous novelist, famous writer, went through a lot of pain to acquire it, and he treats that somewhat in the book, but partly it's a lovely travel log, moving through the Himalayas, and some of the routes I knew from maps and readings before, so I felt kind of a kinship with the author and his adventure. But it still stays at the top of my list, and anyway.
How about, is that similar with the other Mathiassen book?
Well, the other Mathiassen, of course there are many. There's the Tree Where Man Was Born, and I've never read it. Play in the Field of the Lord that I just mentioned, that's a fiction book.
Yeah, when did you read that? A long time ago?
Yeah, quite a while back. I listened to it on tape first, and then I went back and I read it, or maybe it was the other way around. But then the second time I started to read it, I hung up on something. I don't know what it was, but something is disagreeable to me, and I quit reading it. But anyway, I have the book, and I consider it one of the best novels that I've had the pleasure of reading.
Why is that? Because that's what I'm getting at. What was it about? What do you remember from it?
Well, one of the things that I remember, and this is kind of a weird answer. Not only does it have the tension that a good novel has, you get to know these people. Sometimes you know them too well.
A real personal
and
connection.
Fundamentally, it shows a conflict between religions, how the Indians look at Indians in South America, looked at their beliefs, the white man's effort to convert them, the Catholics' effort to convert them, and then the other Protestant minister that was already there, and it kind of shows the untruthfulness of some of these people. But anyway, the conflict that's built up between them becomes important, and it's one of those things that I don't know. I sure was rated pretty high as a novel when it first came out, but I never became acquainted with it until just a few years back, and after I'd read the Snow Leopard. But anyway, okay, I mentioned the Snow Leopard. Also on my list is a book called Men Against the Clouds, and that's a book that I know you or John must have a paperback copy of. And the reason I know that is that one of the climbers, and a group of 2 climbers, made the summit of Minyaganka, which at the time would have been the highest mountain climbed, but except for Smith climbing a mountain a little bit higher. But anyway.
When was this?
This was 1932, 33, 32. The interesting thing about this as a climbing book, it doesn't deal, as many climbing books do, with the expedition, getting all the joy, necessities together. But this will give you a feel for the process of travel. because they had to go through China, and they had to go up the Yangtze, and at that time there were warlords shooting at everything, and so you didn't know which side was going to win and which side wasn't. And they had one professional zoologist with him who was Chinese. But anyway, it's just a very fine book. And the fellow that I knew personally was Terry, can't think of his last name right, Terry who? Terrace Moore. Terrace Moore, he stayed here at the house, and he autographed some of the books that he'd written, and he was one of the 2 climbers that got to the summit on that. One of the climbers on that expedition, by the way, was Emmons, maybe was the one that wrote the book, but they were famous climbers. But one of them was cutting a frozen, like a biscuit in 2 on the morning of the climb, or the night before maybe, and he let the knife slip through it and it cut the arteries, the veins, the tendons, and everything in his hand. So he didn't go to the summit, but Terrace and I think Emmons was the other one, went to the summit. They made the summit, they came back down, and this was a major climbing achievement. And Terrace Moore, by the way, became also a president of the University of Alaska, and was also a famous, what do you call them, pilots that fly those little planes around Alaska, bush pilots, yeah, famous bush pilot. He's now dead. He was getting along in years, but this climb took place back in 1983. I mean,
33.
33, yeah. And so anyway, I consider that's an important book to me. And one of you guys one of these days is going to stumble onto it and say, that's the book that Grandpa was talking about. Men Against the Clouds, Emmons. Now I listed The Heart of Evil. Now that book is is a classic, and it's written by Joseph Conrad. Have you ever read it?
No, I've not.
The Heart of Evil explores one man's approach to the kind of people that white people in civilized world are, and it's all negative as he depicts it. But he takes off. This narrator tells a story, and he is on a ship in London, out of London now on the Thames, and he kind of reflects back sailors who used to go up and down that. But then finally gets his appointment, and he goes to to Africa, and he describes where he's going. He doesn't mention it by name, but it obviously is the Congo River. Now he takes it, and he's the captain of this rig that is now supposed to go up to a trading post. And the trading post is run by British exploiters. He doesn't ever say that, but that's what they are.
But does he kind of infer that?
Yeah, oh yeah, you can see from the story what they are. And they have no appreciation for the blacks, no appreciation for these things for these people as anything other than a group of heathen wahoos or whatever. And anyway, he finally gets there. He meets the man who has been for years busying himself with robbing all the natives. But it's more than that. It's not just that, because he reflects a society. And the society is the exploitive society, I guess, of the Brits while they acquired empire.
It's a strong influence on our world today.
Indeed, that's right.
It's a hard thing to think about. It makes me want to find ways to live my life low footprint, is how I put it.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
you don't need to leave such a mark. In the Shackleton book, they talk about that, of how the destructive. It seems every time they come in contact with humankind, there's destruction.
That's right.
They talk about killing the penguins and how they just got tired of slaughtering. They felt so bad killing these penguins. Every day a bird would come ashore, they'd kill it and eat it.
Yeah. Well, then in this, The Heart of Darkness, for one thing, it's a classic, and I had the experience recently of going to a doctor to see this doctor about a problem, and I said, I got to go to the library and pick up The Heart of